G'day. Okay, now I'd like to try and explain what I've learnt about what we are, our basic essence. And this could be a little bit controversial for a lot of people, but the only thing I could come up with, I know a lot of people have called our essence God, divine essence, whatever, but I don't like those terms. You know, from what I've understood of what people think a God is some sort of a supernatural entity that's separate from us, that created us. I don't accept that. So the only thing I could come up with to try and be neutral about the whole thing, it's pretty hard, is pure potential. Potential is simply what's available. It is, I suppose, an essence, but pure potential. And again, from my research, from my pondering, all this sort of stuff, as I've spoken before, thought is energy. It's a response to or an opinion of an environment. Now, let's say that we are a thinking essence. I don't know whether we'd call it an entity. I'm not quite sure, to tell the truth. An essence. An essence that thinks. And our innate ability is to visualize our thoughts in the mind. Visualize thoughts within our own mind, which I've called a dream. So it's the mind dreaming, or pure potential dreaming, thinking, visualizing its thoughts into a dream state. Now, if thought is a response to or an opinion of an environment, what would have been the initial thoughts? What sort of an environment would pure potential be responding to? However, environment means simply circumstantial surroundings or conditions. It could be responding to its own condition as an essence, its own state of whatever it is, responding to its own essence, which would be its own environment, its circumstantial surroundings or conditions, its own essence. And from that thinking, those opinions that it was forming of itself, everything else came about. Pure potential, an infinite source of possible thoughts. Nothing in particular, but the source from which everything comes. Okay, thought could quite possibly be that pure potential, the potential to think and to express its thoughts into a dream state, a virtual reality that we've actualized through our belief systems. We've just believed it was real. Okay, so we have thought, the potential to think. When we say we're deep in thought, we're thinking. So that thinking process produces thoughts, designs of thought that are represented through geometry. Geometry simply explains those designs of thought. It's a language, it's a way of learning about ourself. All those structures represent ways of thinking, designs of thought. Okay, so from thought, and as I said before, thought is energy. So pure potential, unpurposed energy. From that unpurposed energy comes purposed energy. Designs of thought, designed energy by design. Purposed energy. Us, that essence amazes me. What we are. And like I said, if you defined it as anything else but just potential or pure potential, it may not fully define that essence. But I think pure potential pretty much defines our essence. The term God, no, it doesn't. It's the whole term. The word God represents something that created us, something outside of ourselves, a divine essence, supernatural being, entity, or whatever. It doesn't define us. Because if you have, okay, this essence that thinks, that accumulates its thoughts, visualizes its thoughts into a dream state, a dream, then there can be states of that dream, as in one mind and many mind states, states of that mind, conditions of that mind. Okay, so pure potential, the essence, thinks, accumulates its thoughts, visualizes those thoughts, forms a mind. But that mind, in essence, is the dream. Dream and mind seem to be the same thing. Memory and mind is an accumulation and categorization of thoughts. An accumulation and categorization of thoughts. Okay, so our essence thinks, produces thoughts, opinions of itself, of its condition, of its state of existence, if you want to call it that, of its essence, visualizes those thoughts into a dream, forms a mind. Mind is a logical construct. Logic is a library of growing intelligent concepts. Logic. In essence, logic is memory, an accumulation and categorization of thoughts. Mind is a product of logic states, product of logic, product of memory. Okay, so we have this mind that through its evolution, as those thoughts accumulated, through sense actually, sense is focused creative thought or focused imagination, and it visualizes thoughts. Sense categorizes memory, categorizes logic, an accumulation and categorization of thoughts, puts everything where it seemingly belongs. Different thoughts having similarities, being categorized into those similarities. Library of growing intelligent concepts, that's what a library does. It's an accumulation of information and it's categorized. It's put in different pigeonholes, fiction, non-fiction, science, cooking. All of that information is put where it belongs, within the mind. Okay, and this is what we've ended up with. Us, pure potential dreaming, expressing its thoughts, visualizing its thoughts, dreaming, forming mind states, personalities of that mind. That's us. Personal realities within a shared dream, as we've spoken many times before. But like I said, if we accept the term God, then it accepts that there's something outside of ourselves that created all of this. But personalities aren't separate from a mind. They're identified attitudinal behaviours of that one mind. So if we accept that to be true, then it's not something outside of ourselves. It's us. Our many personalities expressed into and visualized into our own dream for us to experience, to recognize, to interact with, to evolve from that dream state. We evolve from the interactions, from experiencing our own manifestations of thought. Our opinions change, they evolve, become more complex quite often. Well, it has anyway. But like I said, in simplicity, that's what we are. You know, and it's incredible to even think that's what we are. This essence that manifested everything. And we are that essence, not separate from it. But I do understand, and I've spoken about that before, I do understand how that could have come about. As I said before, you have an essence that thinks, that's forming opinions of its own condition, its own state of whatever it is, and visualizing those opinions into its own dream state. It's dreaming, it's experiencing itself, its thoughts. But could there have come a time when that potential, those thoughts accumulating, forming a mind, and that mind more or less going through an assessment stage of what am I, where am I, how to come about? It's quite obvious to me that because we visualize our thoughts into a dream, so as we think, we shall become. An infinite number of answers could have manifested, been visualized into the dream to represent possibilities, trying to resolve that question. You know, trying to resolve that question. How do we come about? And it's quite possible that we manifested concepts of something outside of ourselves creating us. We called it a God. But all of those terms came from ancient times when we didn't really understand much at all. We were very superstitious creatures because we didn't understand much at all. We didn't know much at all about our own reality, the planet we lived on. Pardon me. So we were ignorant at that time, but we developed all these concepts of gods, supernatural entities, devils, all sorts of amazing stuff. But they were manifestations of ignorance. And we need to understand that. All of those concepts that were formed when we had limited intelligence, limited awareness, why do we still have those concepts? Why do we still believe in those superstitious stories, manifestations of not knowing, but trying to explain all that stuff through our own limited understanding, our limited awareness? Coming up with these concepts, or something must have created us, all of this stuff. Something amazing, something really, really smart, powerful. We better be careful. You know? It's our master. Whatever. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, all of those concepts were created when we didn't know anything. And we've just kept them. Traditionally, down through the ages, we've just kept them. But we didn't know anything. You know, didn't have a freaking clue. Why do we still have them? And that's why a lot of scientists, they can't really have those concepts of gods, because there's no proof or evidence. There's just a belief system, which is just a declaration of personal preference. We choose to accept something as true. That's all the belief is. Science can't accept that, because it could run off on all these tangents that lead nowhere, because there's never any evidence. There's no facts. Some scientists have tried to keep those beliefs and conduct science. To me, that'd be pretty hard, because you're always going to fall back on those beliefs if those beliefs were stronger than the facts, the scientific facts of everything else. Pure potential, an infinite source of possible thoughts, or an infinite source of possibilities. Leave out the thought part. Just an infinite source of possibilities. Anything's possible. Determined by our circumstances or conditions, we can fathom what might be probable. All these possibilities, anything's possible. But probability is determined by circumstantial surroundings or conditions. Our environment determines the probability. Okay. So, like I said, I go more on science is just looking for the truth. It's seeking the truth, a search for truth. That's science. Search for truth through observation, observing our reality, so-called, our conditions, our circumstances, observing what's going on, how it affects us, how certain things affect us, and then we draw the conclusions from those observations. And sometimes those conclusions can become beliefs. Preferential. Oh, I prefer that to be true than that other stuff. Sounds better. That's not science, guys. That's not science at all. Science, you have to be a neutral observer. You have to look at the facts, look at what you've accumulated, what you have observed, and draw conclusions from those observations of how something might be, why it's behaving that way, what its purpose is. Like I said, I don't think you can get anything better than pure potential. Everything else is just airy-fairy and circumstantial. You know, it is I'll have to admit though, now, this is where it gets interesting. Okay. We visualize our thoughts into a dream state Hold on, I've got to adjust for the sunshine. Okay, we've got some in the background there, we won't worry about it. Okay, so we visualize our thoughts into our own mind. Our own mind is visualizing those thoughts. We call it a dream, a virtual reality, a virtualized environmental construct of mind, an interactive visualization of conscious thought. We call it a dream. However, if everything within this virtual reality, this dream state, is a visualization of our own thoughts, our opinions of how things might be, who we might be, how we might have come about, what our purpose might be. If that is the case, then all of these other concepts, through ignorance that we have formed, could manifest something into the dream to represent those concepts. So something to represent or to give proof of a God, a divine essence, devils. Something could, pardon me again, something could manifest into the dream state. Or a whole lot of things could manifest into the dream state as possible solutions to that answer that we have pondered on. I wonder if there's something greater than us that created this. This incredible being. Something could manifest into the dream. It's just makes sense. It's logical that could happen if this is a visualization of our thoughts. And when we ask questions, an infinite number of possible answers could manifest into the dream state. Something to symbolize an answer to that question, a possible answer to that question. So this is the amazing part. All of the different questions that we've asked, all of the different possibilities that we have pondered on, could manifest something into the dream state, symbolically to represent that. So we could get all sorts of stuff to represent the possibility of a God manifesting us, or the possibility of a devil existing. All these possibilities could be represented symbolically within the dream state. This is why it's hard to, what's history? Is history real? Or do we simply project it into the dream and thought that this must be what happened in the past? Must be what happened in the past. But it's just us manifesting our thoughts, experiencing those thoughts, embedding ourselves within our own thoughts, within that dream state, within that virtual reality, embedding ourselves into that reality and interacting with it, and interacting with all of those possible answers to those questions. We interact with those possible answers that have manifested. Symbolically, something has manifested into the dream to represent those possible answers. This is how it could have been, that's how it could have been. So how can we say anything is real? And like I said, I have to admit, as a practical person, understanding now how thought manifests and what we are, our essence, what it does innately, what that potential is, that anything could manifest into our own mind state, our own dream state, to symbolically represent answers to our questions. So we have all of these personalities, these scientists, these devoted religious people that have believed and accepted, chosen to accept something as true without proof or evidence, looking for evidence to back up that belief, finding stuff to represent. Oh, we found all of these ancient sites that the Bible says existed. But how do we know? How do we know that isn't part of the illusion as well? That's just a manifestation of our thoughts, the questions that we asked. How do we know that isn't the case? So we run around like chooks with our heads cut off, as I said before. All these people trying to prove that they're right. That all of this time they've believed in something that was true. Because we're visualizing something into the dream to give proof. Wow, no, that was true. There's a lot of rabbit holes in the dream, and we could stick our head down any of them. Someone could kick us up the backside and we'd fall in the rabbit hole. And we're done for. That's it. Forever wandering around the dark looking for rabbits. Like I said, I'm a very practical person. I'm looking at all of the possibilities, but looking at the essence that creates those possibilities, that manifests those possibilities into our own mind, into the dream, for us to experience, interact with, draw conclusions from, form beliefs of. And as that practical person, I've got to say that it wouldn't be a good idea to run in any direction, to get too absorbed, too fanatically absorbed into any of those belief systems, because you're going to continue manifesting something to prove that you're right. That's just what we are. That's our essence. That's the amazing part. That's our innate ability, is to visualize our thoughts. Like I said, that's amazing. But once you understand that, you realize that this is incredible what we've created, but we have to look at how we created it, through our thinking. That's basically what it is. Everything that's manifested is just through our thinking. We thought this might be. We thought that might be. So we just visualized it, dreamed about it. We dreamed about it. Oh, running through this dream state going, oh yeah, that's real. That's definitely real. Like I said, guys, it's something to think about. Something to think about. You know, if you really go back to the essence of what we are, of how everything came about, then look at what came about, you can't really say that's true. It's just what we created. So in essence, it's real. It's a creation. It's our creation. Our visualization through the imagination. It is ours. We created it. To us it's real, but like I said, we have to look at how we created it. How we created it. We may never really know what, or we may never be able to truly define our essence any better than pure potential. We may not be able to define it any better than that. And in one way, it probably doesn't matter, as long as you understand what that potential is. We think. We visualize our thoughts. Thought is an opinion. We form opinions of us, of our state of mind, of our conditions and circumstances within the dream that we created ourselves. We're continually responding to our own thoughts and evolving, hopefully, the understanding of how those thoughts manifested, or that those thoughts manifested. And this is the result. Like I said, that result could go any direction at all, or all of those directions at the same time. Look at what's out there now. All these different concepts. All these different concepts of what's real, what isn't, how we came about. They're all existing in the same space. The shared dream, the shared mind. All existing at the same time. And they could evolve incredibly in one direction, more than the others, possibly. Or in a couple of major directions, conflicting with each other, contradicting each other. And we're all jumping on board with what we would prefer to be true. Going, okay, yeah, this sounds good. Let's jump down this rabbit hole. We'll form a big group of people. Safety in numbers. Now we must be right. If more of us believe something to be right, it must be right. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Just because more people believe something to be true doesn't make it true. It just states exactly what it is. More people believe it to be true. Or more people prefer it to be true. That's all it is. It's preference. All these political parties, democracy, all that crap, they're just preferences of political parties that we join and go, oh, we like this idea. Oh, well, we'll join up with those all other people because they think the same way. It must be right. Nope. It's just that we choose to accept something as true, or choose to accept something as right, and choose to accept something as wrong. Right and wrong. They're just concepts. They're belief systems too. How can we say what's right and what's wrong? It's only determined by our standards that we have created of right and wrong. Our morals. Our codes of conduct. It doesn't conform with our code of conduct. We can't accept that. It must be wrong. And then we have all these different cultures with different codes of conduct. And what we class as wrong, they class as right, and vice versa. So we go and visit their country, and we think we're morally doing what's morally acceptable, and they're looking at us going, what are they doing? That's wrong. They come to our country doing what they think is morally acceptable, and we say what they're doing is wrong. It's never ending, guys. It's never ending. If we want to keep on going down that rabbit hole, we're going to be chasing our tails for the rest of our freaking lives. We need to get a deeper understanding. And to get a deeper understanding, you can't look at the superficial You have to look within. You have to look within. Because what's on the surface, it may just be the result of what was created within. Okay, so that's just a basic trying to help others understand what I understand, trying to help them to realise that, hey, just because you found evidence to prove your belief system, if you look at the way we visualise our thoughts into the dream as possible answers to a question, it's just our innate ability. You know, we're forming the question, and we're also creating the proof. We're also creating something to prove that our theories are right. We're doing it all. Everything. You know, we're the writers, the directors, the producers of the movie, and the critics of that same movie. We're doing it all. We just change hats. 1 minute I'm a writer, now I'm a director, now I'm a producer, now I'm a critic, and now I'm an actor within the movie. We're doing it all. We're doing the whole damn lot. And all of the possible climaxes, endings to the movie, we're creating them too. Oh, we prefer to end this way. No, we prefer it to end the other way. Be careful, because there's a whole lot of people out there who think that this world's coming to an end in a disastrous way. Thought manifests. So it's quite possible that all these people running around going, it's the end of the world, God's going to crucify us because we're naughty people. Something could manifest into the dream to represent that, to symbolise that, to reinforce that concept of all these disasters. Oh, God's punishing us. Then the scientists are going, nah, the bloody climate's crap because we create all this pollution. It was our thoughts that polluted everything and make things better. Either way, you can do both. We need to start going in the right direction if we want something good to occur rather than something worse. Otherwise, we're going to manifest something into the dream state to represent that catastrophe, apocalypse. And we're doomed. Oh, we're going to have a nuclear war. God's going to drop a bomb on us. Devil's going to come down, trick us all. We're doing the lot, guys. All of those concepts, we created them by our thoughts. We reinforce them by visualizing them into our own mind, our own dream of mind. It's when I see all of this stuff going on in this dream that I'm sharing, in this mind that I'm sharing, that I'm part of, contributing to, we're all contributing to this mind state and this dream state, all contributing to it, for good, bad, or indifferent. We're all contributing our opinions, our thoughts, our questions, and those questions are being answered. We're creating the answers, just like we create the questions. A lot of you have probably, your eyes have glazed over and your brain is shut down by now. That might be understandable, but it's it's good to ponder on this stuff and go, gee, if that's true, we better be careful what we think. We better be careful what we think. You know, we are what we think. Thought is the beginning of all creation. If that's true, I think we better be careful. You know, it would be no different to if you believed in a God and going, oh, I better be careful not to upset God. God might punish me. Well, similar concept, actually. We better be careful what we think because we'll punish ourselves. It's just we created a proxy and called it God. But it's ourselves that are creating the punishment by our own thinking of our terms of right and wrong, good, bad, what's true, what isn't. I could go on for hours on all this sort of stuff, and anyone who knows me will back that up, because I'm continuously trying to understand more of what we are. Trying to understand more of what we are, so we'll have a better chance of creating something better than what we've already created. And we won't continuously create all these disasters thinking that we're being punished. It's just our thoughts. It has nothing to do with punishment. It's cause and effect. We have a thought, we create the effect. We visualize that thought into the dream state. That's the effect. Some people call it karma. Ooh, being punished, or being rewarded. Reward and punishment. That's a lot of people's concepts of karma. The essence of that is just cause and effect. The basic essence of that is cause and effect, just as the basic essence of us is pure potential, an infinite source of possibilities. That's the essence of us that manifests everything else from that essence. I hope somebody is really putting in the effort to try and understand this stuff. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, and it would be pointless for me to understand this stuff and not share it with anybody, because we all share the same dream. We're all going to have to put up with the crap that everyone else creates, that we all create, you know, unintentionally and intentionally. You know, so maybe, you know, instead of this term of God that's separate from us, we exchange it for the term pure potential that really is the essence of us. Still doing the same stuff, still manifesting stuff into the dream state that we call life. We just exchange one term for another term, pure potential, but pure potential is our essence. It's not separate from us, it's just us. It's the essence of us. And we just utilize that potential, we express that potential, we bring that potential into being, visualize it, interact with it, experience it, contribute to the result. I said, I'm amazed by this stuff. I would like you to be amazed by it too, but understand it more importantly. To understand what I'm talking about, because that's the whole purpose, is understanding ourselves as expressions of our self, the ultimate self. Forming opinions of its self. Okay guys, like I said, I really hope someone got something from this. I'm trying my best to explain it. If there's something you don't understand, could you please leave a comment and I'll try to explain it better. Otherwise, as I've said before, I have a website, alchimera.com, ALKAMIRR.com, Alchimera, Advanced Life Kinetics and Memory Intuited Regenerative Research. So thank you.